is. She's serious. She like, I'm trying to learn some things, grow a little bit. We just want to say hey and hello and what's going on as you are joining us this evening.
Let us know if you can hear us okay. Let us know where you're tuning in from. YouTube, what's going on, YouTube? Let us know where you're chiming in from as well. Let us know if you can hear us.
Now, you might have been caught by the title. Maybe you don't even know what the title is. I'm not sure. But I want you to know that we're going to get real naked tonight.
Real naked, man?
Real naked.
Real naked.
Real naked.
Yeah.
Okay. Emotionally. Emotionally. Yes. What's up, Devontae? I see you. Go ahead and check in and tell us where you are coming in from. We're talking about vulnerability tonight. We're talking about being open. Are you wide open? That is the question.
That is the question.
Are you wide open? Okay, where are you coming from? Hey, Shay, I see you.
So we got some people that work here watching us. We like that.
New Jersey.
Don't get fired.
I know you like that.
We like that. I mean, because you're taking time off of your busy schedule to pay attention to us while you on the job. You know, while you're handling your business. So we appreciate that.
You're supposed to be doing your work.
We appreciate it. This is their work.
This is work.
This is work.
They put in work.
They putting in.
All right, so New Jersey is in the house. The DMV is in the house. Devontae, thank you as always for sharing. Please go ahead and share this video. Please go ahead and comment and let us know where you're coming from. Good evening, Janet. I see you. Houston is in the house. Hold up. I like this little beat though. St. Louis is in the house. Connie, hey. Yes, this is going to be good. So as we come on in the room, Richmond, I see you. Again, we're talking about vulnerability. Vulnerability. And the question for the evening, for those of you who are note takers, you need to write it down. What's going on, Dave from Maryland? I see you, Maryland. And Ohio, Marco, I see you. And Cleveland is in the house. Shay, as always, is in the house. And so we're talking about the question. The question is, are you wide open? Are you wide open? And we want to share with you 5 ways tonight that you can do what?
Be vulnerable.
Be vulnerable in your relationship. Be vulnerable. And I just want to know, when y'all hear that right there, some of y'all's like, ugh.
Some people get afraid. Some people get nervous.
Some people kind of like, oh, we got to do all that.
Yeah.
That's what this is about tonight.
Too much work. Too much work. It's too stressful. It's too intense.
Oh.
I ain't trying to do all of that. Why I got to be vulnerable? Vulnerable for what? Whenever I'm vulnerable, all I do is get hurt. So what's the point?
And some people is like, I mean, that's for soft people.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, like, what is that? What is that even about? Why am I going to be vulnerable? Like, can you just get through that part so we can go ahead and get to the real deal? Because that's nice, but that's not necessary.
Yeah.
And so we're here to challenge that thought tonight and let you know the vulnerability is necessary. It's necessary for a good, strong, long relationship. I just want to say what's going on to Missy. I see you, and I see Latoya, and what's up, Stephanie? I see y'all giving shout outs and saying hello. Karen is in the house, and Birmingham is in the house. So again, as you're listening, if this is of value to you, if the title, we're talking about vulnerability, and we're going to share with you 5 ways that you can be vulnerable in your relationship, because contrary to popular belief, being vulnerable or opening up, or, some people want to call it being soft. Some people want to call it being mushy, whatever it is. Going there, it's not something that just happens because you just fall in love and this person just makes you feel so good that you can just be your true self. No, that's not. It actually has to be done intentionally. And usually you will be uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to feel good, even though that's your boo. It's still certain parts of ourselves that we don't want to share. And for those of us who have not practiced it, it's not necessary. We're not even trying to do it. I was counseling somebody earlier in the week. Thank you, Kiwana. She said, thank you for all you do. Thank you, Miss Hubbard. Thank you for listening and watching and support. And she was like, oh, God. That's exactly what she did. Oh, God, I don't even want to do it. I don't want to do it. you know, and it wasn't a question that would be offensive or taken the wrong way. It was just something that was going to take them to a different level of closeness, intimacy, vulnerability, being exposed. She would be exposed that she would even want to know the answer. Yeah. That I'm even interested and that my heart is in this a little bit more than I have really shown you. So by even asking, right, the question that she did not know the answer to, she was having to risk some vulnerability. So vulnerability, y'all. Let's go ahead and define this thing. You're going to define it.
Let's. I mean, number one, we didn't introduce ourselves. So for some people who are just getting on this live stream, right?
Y'all, give me a second. I just want to apologize in advance. I meant to do this before we were on live, but I was eating some spinach with garlic. And so I already know, and I ain't gonna brush my teeth. And if you eat garlic, brushing your teeth don't do that anyway. You know what I'm saying? But you see, this is I'm trying to demonstrate some vulnerability. I know my breath might be a little garlicky right now.
You're really good, man.
But you do let me know.
I do. I really do. I really do.
So I just want to let you know that I already know before you even get off this, don't even be like, boo, did you eat some garlic before we was on the live stream?
I don't smell that, man. I don't smell that.
Okay.
So check this out, y'all. So my name is Ayize, and this right here is my incredible queen, my lovely wife, Aiyana, we're both licensed therapists, but as I always say, every single week, this right here, it ain't therapy. It's us giving you all edutainment, enlightenment, some good information to help you edify, lift up, and really put your relationship on the proper footing. You know, my wife and I, we got a couple of websites out here, blackloveandmarriage.com, therealrelationshipexperts.com, been featured on a number of forums, Oprah Winfrey Network, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We got something big that's about to jump off. I'm going to let my wife share when she's ready, but it's about to jump off really soon. So I'm really excited about that. But in addition to that, y'all, so we talking about vulnerability this evening. I dropped a link on Facebook as well as on YouTube to a program that I created for men to really encourage the fellas to actually step into a space of vulnerability and connect them with their woman. A couple of live streams ago, my wife, she told me on the live stream, she was like, your woo is broke.
Y'all know what the woo is.
She says, your woo is broke. So what I did was I took a step back. I did some reevaluating.
You define the woo.
The woo is, you know, romancing your woman. You know, making sure your woman feels like she's a priority. Always make you feel like you're a priority, but it's those subtle things, those subtleties that I used to do a long time ago, and that I'll do intermittently throughout our relationship. I need to do more of. And so I created this program, y'all, to help some of the fellas out here whose woo is broke also to really get your game back on. Again, it's called Loving Her. How to win your woman and woo your wife. Loving Her, how to win your woman and woo your wife. So you can go to centerforrelationshipenlightenment.com, and it's in the link here somewhere on Facebook and on YouTube to be able to get access to this course. Fellas, you need to take it. I got something in there for y'all to help you connect in with your boo. It's all about being vulnerable and going.
And it's things to do. It ain't theory. It's like it's some strategies. Like do this now, do this. Right. So Center for Relationship Enlightenment.com. Center for Relationship Enlightenment.com. Big ups to you, Boo, for pushing through and doing that.
Oh, thank you.
All right, guys. So we are going to, again, you should be a note taker. If you're not, you know, get your phone out, have some way to be able to take notes, because something will resonate with you, as I always say. And whatever resonates with you, you need to capture it. Because if you're like me or like most people, you'll forget it and be like, that thing was good. Somebody will say, what was they talking about? What really stood out? I don't remember. I don't remember. Tamika. Right. We see we got a message from you. We will holler at you after the live stream for sure. So good evening, Bruce. I see you. Go to Center for Relationship Enlightenment.com, Bruce.
Yeah, the link is in the thread on Facebook and on YouTube.
Letice, I see you. Ronisha, I see you. Damien representing Philly. So we're talking about 5 ways tonight. Okay. 5 ways tonight that you can be vulnerable with your boo. Okay, and so we're getting ready to define it. And before we define it, I want you to go ahead and share listening. Go ahead and be vulnerable and share that you're looking at something about vulnerability.
Yes,
it's you. It's me. It's me.
Not just you, but you're getting some information about your relationship or about relationships in general that can not only benefit you, but benefit other people who are watching as well. So yeah, go ahead and share this video.
So here is what vulnerability is. It's been defined a number of ways, y'all, and I love the way the rock star, social worker, researcher Brene Brown defines this thing.
We got any social workers in the house?
Yeah, if we got any mental health folks, not just social workers, don't leave out the other people.
I want to shout out the social workers first.
We
got any social workers in the house? If we got social workers in the house, just drop a note letting us know that you're a social worker.
Represents social work and LPCs, professional counselors, people who are change agents and healers. If you're here, say what's up. Mitzi, I see you. Welcome, sis. So vulnerability. Write this down or write it in your mind or put it in your phone. All right, Raven, I see you.
Hey, what's up, Marnell?
Vulnerability. I like how Brene Brown defines this. LMSW here. All right, Mona, I see you. Mm-hmm. So uncertainty, risk, and emotional exposure. Mm-hmm. Uncertainty, risk, and emotional exposure. Boop, we done already got you scared just right there. You might be like, oh, no, I'm fine with that. But guess what? Even for those of us, and I have said about myself, I am a self-described, pretty transparent person. I kind of tell my business, I kind of put it out there. I do that here on the live stream. I do that if I'm talking with you and it seems like it's appropriate and you cool and I'm not, infringing upon your boundaries, right? I'm gonna be like, yeah, what's up? Ask me. What's up? Talk to me. That's how I am. But guess what? Even for me and for people like that, I do that within a prescribed space. There's certain things that I'm doing that with and other things that I'm not doing it with, right? So my threshold may seem to be, oh, you can just, you just share, but oh, wait a minute. Don't get me into a place where I really got to go to a way, way, way deep down level with my boo. I can start to be a little scared. So I want you to understand that vulnerability, which again is uncertainty, risk, and emotional exposure, right? Not knowing what's going to happen when you say what you say to your partner, right? The fact that you're going to put your feelings out there, you're going to say something, and it may not be popular with them, that it might cause them to shut down. It may cause them to not talk to you for the next couple of days, or they may look at you a certain way, or they may not feel safe with you, right? You may share some part of yourself where they judge you, right? Or they keep you in a certain place and you ain't there no more, but you really want to kind of share, like, just because I'm not there don't mean I don't struggle a little bit, or you hurt my feelings. You know what I'm saying? I'm sensitive about this area. Just for me to tell you that I'm sensitive, Ayize, about the fact. Remember back in the day? Some of y'all done heard this story. I'm going to tell it again. Here it go. Like to hear it, here it go. Don't care if you want to hear it, going to tell it anyway.
We're going to tell
Remember back in the day, not too long after we were married, and you was stepping over clothes and stuff in the house, and you said, wow, I knew you wasn't like really neat, but I didn't know you was like this, right? That may sound simple, but that thing hurt me. You know what I'm saying? I was not in the vulnerable space.
You weren't trying to receive it.
I wasn't not only what I'm not trying to receive. What was I supposed to be trying to receive? And one that I wasn't trying to receive it.
Constructive criticism.
We ain't gonna unpack that one again. We ain't going back there. All I'm saying is that I already felt some type of way about my housekeeping abilities. Okay, let's just say that. You know what I mean? I already, felt a little sensitive that I wasn't necessarily showing up in the way that I thought I was supposed to show up as a wife. And then this brother says this to me, and I just attacked, right? And he ain't come for me, but he just said, I ain't know it was like this. Well, that's a certain that's a particular opportunity to be vulnerable. To say, babe, like, I know you don't mean it like that, but that really kind of hurts my feelings. Because I know that's something I got, I'm working on. And when you just say, I didn't know it was like this, and you use that tone and all of that, like, that makes me feel kind of small, makes me feel some type of way. How many of us keep it 100 like that and don't just attack? Now, I wasn't not doing that. Don't just be like, excuse me? Do you know what I got to do every day, all day? Do you know how many children I got to feed and what I got to plan, what I got to organize, and what do you do? And that's where we go. But vulnerability is this place of emotional exposure. It is this place of uncertainty and this place of taking a risk. And if you are risk averse, if you are someone who is not used to taking risk, you're not one who wants to do all of that. You just want to keep it in. I want you to know that your relationship is already at risk. In order to keep your relationship in a safe and stable place, you must take risk.
Absolutely.
Doesn't that seem counterintuitive? In order for your relationship to be safe, you must be taking risks. In order for your relationship to be in a place where you can have some relative comfort that, you know, things are stable, I can trust him, he can trust me, we're doing all right, then we've got to be having some very particular kinds of conversations. And those things need to bring about some fear in you.
That's real talk.
You need to feel uncomfortable. Are you feeling uncomfortable? Are you a little afraid sometimes? Are you unsure and uncertain? Oh, wow. You must be really on the road to a good place. And you must be in a decent place in your relationship because y'all ain't keeping it surface, you know, and you're not keeping it pretty and nice and polite. And that's the real deal, right?
It is. It is. So let's also put some additional context to this thing too. You know, when you all first got into the relationship, when you all first got married, making a decision to, for those of you who are married, when you made the decision to commit your life to your partner, that was an inherent risk in and of itself. You didn't know what was going to happen on the other side of you jumping the room. You didn't know that you were going to be in this relationship and dealing with the stress, dealing with the praise, the promise, dealing with all of the experiences that you've experienced since you said, I do. But again, you got to take some form of risk in the relationship in order to experience any type of reward. And so if you would have just stopped it right before you said, I do, whatever blessings that you've experienced since then, you would not have had the opportunity to experience those things. And so again, and you making a decision to continue pressing forward, to continue moving forward, what that allows you is the opportunity to experience all that you have experienced, the good, the bad, the ugly, the around the corners, all of that type of stuff. And again, you got to take the risk. You got to be vulnerable in order to experience that next level type of love. It's on the other side, but you got to be willing to make the journey, to take the walk, to take the step in order to get there. You got to.
Yeah. So I see some of the comments coming, and we're going to respond to the comments. So if you have questions, if you have thoughts, go ahead and drop them. I see you, T. Walker. I see you talking about your husband and having issues of abandonment and not being willing, you know. Go ahead. Okay, I'm all over the place, y'all. And not being willing to be vulnerable, right? So we're going to come back to you. So we're not going to forget that. So if you have comments, if you have thoughts, questions, go ahead and drop them. And I want to go ahead and shout out Multi-Shell 12. Go ahead, PhD sis, answering the call for social workers in the house.
I've seen the LICSW over here.
Yes, indeed. Yes, Facebook. Indeed.
And let me just say this too, y'all. Before I proposed to my wife, you know, she mentioned a moment ago this whole thing about clothes and all of that type of stuff. But the more significant issue in our relationship prior to me proposing was this whole piece around infidelity. And so, you know, my wife, she made some radical shifts internally within herself in order for me to feel comfortable.
You didn't even tell. You had to give them a little bit more context. They don't even know what you're talking about. Some people don't even know what you're talking about
right now. I'm trying to get to a broader point.
I was cheating. We're talking a little bit lower because our kids is around upstairs and wherever. But before we were married, and then even in the early years of marriage, there was some emotional infidelity. Can y'all hear me? Okay. So this, so y'all know what's going on. Yeah. So y'all like, what are you talking about?
So, and again, we'll share some more about that in a future live stream. But yeah. So the point that I'm trying to make here is that we wouldn't be here today, y'all. Y'all wouldn't be watching us right now if I wasn't willing to step into a space of vulnerability. If my wife wasn't willing to step into a space of vulnerability and look at herself. If I wasn't willing to look at myself and look at her and see her differently, then again, we wouldn't be sitting right here in front of y'all right now, y'all. It's because we were willing to take the risk. I was willing to take a risk. My wife was willing to take a risk that I proposed to this woman. And again, she made some changes prior to me getting down on one knee on the beach of Jamaica and proposing to her, nervous as hell. But again, you know, it requires some element of risk on my part in order to, you know, move forward in a relationship. I had to trust, y'all. I had to trust in order to make the decision. And even though it wasn't perfect, I felt like I was in perfect unison and harmony with you, being with you. And so again, y'all, risk is inherent in, you know, having a successful relationship.
All right. You took me on back. Connie said she's been there. She said real stuff. We see you manifest, Rob. What's up? So all right, so let's get on in it. Here we are. We're going through 5 points, right? We're going to take you through 5 points. These are 5 things that you can do to be vulnerable, because vulnerability does not happen because you philosophize about it, theorize about it, talk about it, get all deep on it, look it up. You know what I'm saying? Hear us talk about it. You're like, vulnerability. Are you doing it? That's the question. And we're going to give you 5 ways that you can do it, right?
Y'all can do it right now by sharing this video. Go ahead and share it. Be vulnerable and do that.
Share the video. Help us out. All right. So number one, this is not the number one thing, but the first thing on the list tonight is to communicate your fears. Communicate your fears. Oh, that sounds so cliche, Aiyana. I mean, come on, communicate your fears. Okay, talk about, all right, but I'm not really all that afraid of anything. It's not really that serious. What I'm telling you is this. Everybody, thank you, Missy. Everybody has some fears. Everybody has some things that they're walking with every single day that sit in the recesses of their mind or deep down in their gut that they either are aware of or they don't have a lot of awareness of. So you can't share what you don't know, right? And you can't give what you don't have. So in order to be able to communicate your fears, you got to first understand. So some of y'all what do you mean? As what? I've asked people that, right? We've asked people that in counseling. So what are some of your fears? And people come back to me and they say, what do you like what? What do you mean? Yeah. And what I say to them is, I don't know. Only you know that. Only you know that. And so your level of self-awareness can be measured by how easily you're able to answer that question. I know what some of my fears are. I don't like being seen. What does that mean? I want to be seen, see me. I want to be validated. I want to be heard. But when people start to really see, oh, Aiyana, that was great. Oh, that was amazing. I'm like, oh, I'm getting scared because if you see me and you really look clearly and you straighten up your glasses, you might not like me. Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
So you're being vulnerable right now.
I'm being vulnerable right now. A little Pinot Noir helps you. But you understand, I know that. So if you ask me, what are your fears? One of my fears is being seen. I want to be seen, and yet I'm scared at the same time. So that shows up in kind of how I flow, in the world. I get attention, and I'm like, my husband, he's paying attention, and then I'm like, oh, wait a minute. And so then I can do things to push away. And I don't really do that with him as much anymore because, we've practiced some things over time. But communicate your fears. And if you don't know what that means and you don't understand, what, right? Ashley said, oh, my God, that's me. And Fine 29 said, I can totally relate to that, right? Then figure that out, because when you share what scares you with another person, they have access to a part of you that 99% of the people in your life do not have access to. That automatically elevates the connection. Automatically. Because they have access, right? You've given them access. And when you haven't given somebody else that access, they just like everybody else. And so it's a gift to share your fears. It's a gift. So that's the number one thing. You can just we're going to go out, and I seen this live stream and they was talking about communicate your fears. I was thinking about that thing. I came up with one thing. I came up with a couple things. I want us to go, let's go, out, or let's just sit down on the couch in the evening. I want to talk to you a little bit. Or maybe if you can't say it, write it down. Write it down and hand it to your partner.
And that's real talk right there, y'all. On a number of occasions, since my wife, she had a moment of transparency a second ago. On a number of occasions.
I'm sorry, I'm all hype. He all nice and calm. So.
Yeah, I've shared with my wife in a space of vulnerability, just my concerns around just being worried, being anxious about a number of things, and being overly concerned, being hyper vigilant, my wife, and not just sharing, what things lead me to be in that space, but also sharing with my wife how I experience that stuff on a visceral level, on a physical, and a deep emotional level, and how, me being able to turn in and tune in with my wife and turn towards my wife has been so profoundly liberating, y'all. I can't even express to you how being able to turn to this woman right here and let her know when I'm afraid, when I'm scared, when I'm anxious, when I'm nervous, when I'm worried. It does so much for me to know that I have your ear, that I have your heart. And so, I'm lifting this up, y'all, because again, it's extremely important for you to be able to communicate your fears. We might want to walk around like we're heathen, but nah, it's not always like that, y'all. Men feel pain, men are afraid, men hurt, men cry, men worry, men get concerned. And a lot of it has to do with, just making sure that the people around them are okay. And some of that stuff stems from codependency and, just a whole host of issues. And a lot of it comes from your upbringing and stuff like that. But again, you want to be able to create that space for your partner so that they feel comfortable communicating what their fears are. But again, one thing you all can do is definitely communicate your fears.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. Communicate your fears. Saran, I don't know if I'm saying your name correctly, but Saran says, I relate, brother. Absolutely. And also he says, have to embrace it all. It's normal. People would want you to do this. Connie says, Ayize, I've asked my husband. Oh, okay. She said, all right, I was making sure you wanted me to say, okay. Connie said, Ayize, I've asked my husband to email you to get insight on some things. He refuses to do it. Why? Ayize, are you going to answer that question?
I mean, it could be for a number of reasons. A lot of times men don't like to be pushed into something. They want to walk into it on their own. So again, that's why I do the videos that I do. That's why I'm saying to all the fellas who are watching right now, go to centerforrelationshipenlightenment.com. The link is on this thread right here. And what you'll see in that is, or on that website is a program for men called Loving Her, How to Win Your Woman and Woo Your Wife. So men listen to men. Men listen to men, but oftentimes when a woman is pushing or leading a man to another man, then the idea or the belief is that that man is supporting her agenda. But you know me, and other people know me that that's not what I'm about. I'm more so about just making sure that I'm representing a balanced view and honoring both the man and the woman in the relationship. And so he'll come when he's ready.
That's good. That's good. All right, guys, we're on to number two. So the first one was communicate your fears. Some of y'all was like, I ain't scared. We like, you need to go do some figure out what it is so you can communicate it. All right, so number two, the second thing you can do to embrace yourself, to embrace your vulnerability and really connect in with your partner and be vulnerable in your relationship is what, boo?
Own up to your past. Own up to your past. A lot of us we all have skeletons in our closet. We all got stuff that we need to reconcile, stuff that we need to deal with.
I don't have no skeletons in my closet. I'm saying with you, I don't.
Oh, but I mean, yeah, with me you don't. But
I used to a long time ago.
Yeah,
but I don't.
Yeah, and so, but what you did was you
wait.
No.
Hold on. I just want to know what the first shit. What was you even talking about?
It was just the fact that we all got baggage. So that's what I was more so speaking about. So when I think about owning up to your past,
I'm like, Dad, he like,
no, I'm not. No, by no means do I believe that you're hiding anything. I know you're not. But this right here is more so about the fact that we all got baggage. And, it's important for us to own up and acknowledge our past. Own up, acknowledge, and be accountable for it. But also, take action and do something different to move in a different direction. And so if you're unwilling to own up to your past, then you're really not trying to be vulnerable. You're really not trying to open up and allow yourself to be fully seen. If there's no shame in your game, if there's no shame in what you've done in your past, then you'll be more than willing.
That's the issue.
To open the thing up. Yeah.
There is shame. Right. So a lot of times, Cheryl laughing right there. It's a fear of judgment. Why don't we share like the things that have happened in the past? Not just things that have happened in the past in a relationship, right? But also just what's gone on in terms of your history, in terms of your upbringing and your adult life before this person. Certain things that you've done that joint was not honorable. That was some old shadiness. I was shady. You know what I'm saying? Like I was kind of like a snake right there, right? Those kind of things we don't want to share because we fear judgment. And the thing is that when you own up to your past, and you are able to really share with your partner what's going on, then guess what? Not only are you sharing with them, but you are allowing yourself to really just accept yourself, man. Just accept yourself, all of it. I mean, that's a big part of the call in my life. Like I'm confident, competent, and I got issues. I'm full of them. You know what I'm saying? I got lots of stuff that I'm working on, and I'm like that. All at the same time. You know what I'm saying?
You are like that.
and we got to be able to do that with each other. We have to do that, and it's hard to do. It's not easy to do. But if we can't do it with our partner, and we're not willing to push ourselves to do it with our partner, then we're going to stagnate in our relationship. So you got to be willing to own up to your past. Some people say, "What's the point of that? It's over with. It's done. It's in the past. It's what I'm done with that. I don't need to do that." Right? Like I don't need to do that. The reality is this: it's going to gift you, GIFT, is going to gift you in ways that you do not know. It's going to gift your partner and your relationship in ways that you do not know. When you withhold, you're not withholding from them because you don't think that they can handle it, or you don't think that they will be able to take it in. We think that that's what the issue is. Oh, he's going to reject me. He's not going to like. It's not about them. It's about your own sense of self. If I let that part of myself out, like what's really real, like how do you really? It's about you. And so if you are willing to do that for yourself, you're gifting yourself, you're gifting your partner, and you're gifting the relationship. So just go on ahead and own up. This is what it is. I remember the day. Well, oh. Ooh, I remember the day. Y'all. Back in the day, my husband and I, we was working through this relationship, and I was a professional player, and he was like, "What the hell is wrong with you?" And we was going back and forth, right? And then finally, we got to this point, like, man, are we gonna do this or not? And we said, look, we just got to put everything out on the table. Because I can't be walking these streets and somebody come up to me and say anything. And you can't be walking these streets and somebody come up to you and say anything. Right? So we got to put this thing out on the table. We just got to keep it 100. And it wasn't just me. I always have to prompt this dude because he's still unfolding. We're just going to have a moment of silence for Ayize, Kimathi, Myrel, Ma'at. We're going to have a moment of silence because I wasn't the only one out here in these streets playing. You know what I'm saying? And so you see, he just stays quiet. And if let me keep telling it, y'all be like, Aiyana was just doing the damn thing. Ayize was just at home, like praying for her to get better. At home burning sage, and you know what I'm saying, trying to hope that she just comes. You know what I'm saying? You was burning a different type of sage. You wouldn't burn no sage in them days. Burning something else. Anyway. Like, what's going on? Okay, Nika, she said Pisces moment. You know what I'm saying? Speak up, bruh. You know what I mean? Like, am I alone in this? I remember when we put it all out on the table. Do you remember? Can you say anything to that? I had to tell my stuff and you had to tell your stuff. Yeah. Did you have some stuff?
I did, but where you going with this?
The point that we're talking about is own up to your past, right? So you had to talk about some things you did, and I had to talk about things that I did that before I said it, you didn't know it. And he was like, "Oh, really?" And before he said it, I didn't know, and I was like, "Uh-huh." Oh yeah. Right?
Yeah, you're right.
Even in our marriage, later on, you told me some stuff. It wasn't that long ago. Remember that? You told me about like, oh, remember that? You went over somebody's house.
Oh yeah.
Remember that? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And y'all found that Jonah. When I found that Jonah. Yeah, I mean, it was from way back in the day. It was from way back in the day, but I just found that out not that long ago.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I got some explaining to do.
I mean, you already explained it. Yeah. But I'm just saying, the point is, y'all, okay, at the end of the day, you have to own up to your past, right? You see how I keep pausing, I keep looking at him, he still ain't, you know what I'm saying? He ain't saying nothing.
I'm trying to see like where I'm gonna go with it. So you're absolutely
all I'm saying is, let's just come off the path. I'm gonna digress for a second. Oh, this is a different lesson right here. Okay, can I I'm gonna keep it together. Yeah. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I know that I am a little more expressive and open and sharing of like my stuff, and you are a little more reserved, and I respect that, right? But as we teach together, and I've talked about some of this before. Stop rubbing me, man. Why are you rubbing me over? Rubbing my arm, like he over here like this. Why? I hate when you do that. Like you're trying to like, okay, baby, calm down.
No, not
stop. You're still doing it.
I just let away your skin feels.
I mean, he was not doing that until now. So your partner doesn't want to feel alone. I don't want to be the only one representing. You know what I'm saying? Like if there's been some mishaps or there's been some things that have gone wrong in a relationship, I don't care what it's been. If it's been around financial management, if it's been around infidelity, it's been around cussing people out, it's been around all kind of stuff, right? I don't want to be the one, especially when we're teaching together. I'm just keeping it 100 because that's what we do, right? We're teaching together. Like, I don't want to be the one. I'm the one kind of sharing that, and you're like, mm-hmm. And I worry sometimes people think that, oh, Aiyana is just a handful because she just has so many issues, you know, and you just, you know, like just that calm, sweet Pisces. You know, there you go. Connie said, Ayize, you too laid back. Laugh out loud. And I love his laid backness. But I mean, you know, we talking about owning up to our past, and you're like, I'm talking about, we had some stuff, and you just like this.
Nah, so the reason
I don't need you to go into detail. Just did you have to own up to some stuff? I did. Or was I the only one?
I did.
Thank you. We can go to number 3.
But I feel like that's not, you know, it doesn't. I mean, you need to give additional context to that, though. You know, because I feel like you're extremely verbose, and you shared a whole lot around your stuff, and so I feel as though I need to put, you know, my stuff into its appropriate context so that the people can understand. So that's the reason why I wasn't saying anything.
I mean, you can, but why not? I mean, I don't. You can put it in the context. You can do whatever, but you don't be saying nothing. You just be sitting there quiet.
So, all right. So yeah. So let me just go ahead and share. It may have been, and we actually did a video about this, y'all. So
you remember the point that we on?
Yeah, we don't own it up to your past.
And we had that moment where we did that.
Yeah, and so, you know, I shared with my wife, which is a really interesting experience, y'all, because I shared with my wife that,
you know, I'm not asking you to like share all your stuff,
but I'm
asking you to get in the details if that's uncomfortable, if that's not even what you want to do.
No, I don't mind doing it.
I was just saying, like, can you say like, yeah, and I share my stuff because I have some stuff too. I wasn't right too.
That's all you wanted to hear.
That's all I wanted to hear. I just don't want to be alone. Did anybody know what I'm talking about out here? Anybody? I'm a Leo. This is a Pisces. You know what I'm saying? So we're a little bit different. But anybody understand what I'm talking about? In the house? Anika, we your parents. We your parents. You know, I'm the Leo. He's a Pisces. You know, so okay. Somebody.
But I do want to share this now. Okay. I want to share it now because again, my only hesitation was really around like where we were going with this. But so yeah, so back in the day, y'all, this was actually after we got married. You know, and
we're talking about before we got married. We put everything out on the table before we got married. We had some more table putting out to do after we got married, but
I know, but all
right, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so you messing up my story.
Oh, my bad.
So I shared, so based off of the stress that I was experiencing, and my wife, she had the emotional, you know, affair and all of that type of stuff. You know, I reached out to an old, you know, somebody. This was early one.
You telling all that?
Oh. I mean, again, I'm trying to give context. So I reached out to, you know, ex-girlfriend early on in our marriage. And, you know, I was trying to hook up. I was trying to do the do. I was trying to handle my business. I was trying to, you know, just get it in. And it was because I felt so let down, and so betrayed and so hurt. And it was a pattern. And so I felt like I need to get mine. I need to get back at her. I need to get mine. And so, you know, I reached out to her and I had that thing set up, y'all. I went over to somebody's house.
Can you not say it like that? I had that thing set up.
I did. I had it set up. It was supposed to go down. But she didn't show up. And so I'm glad she didn't show up because that would have been the death of our relationship. It would have been the end. Well, we would have fought through that, but again, it wasn't the right thing to do. So I'm sharing that because it wasn't the right thing. It wasn't a good space that I was in. But what my wife is speaking of, y'all, is that I just recently shared that with her. And I thought that I shared that with her.
Like a couple years ago.
Yeah, or a year ago. I thought that I had shared that with her during that time period. I thought that I did. I could have swore up and down that I told my wife that I had Shorty on the side, ex-girlfriend. I had plans to go get up with her. And essentially my position was like, man, fuck you. You know, this is how I was feeling back then. Like, I'm not tripping off of what you're saying. I'm not tripping off of what you're doing. Like, I'm straight up just trying to get back at you. And so I had it all set up. And you know, luckily and thankfully, she didn't show up. And so after that time period,
did you I just cut off. Did you call her and say where you at?
Yeah, I did. You
talked to her?
Nah, she didn't answer the call. She didn't answer. And so, you know, I'm thankful that she didn't. And so, you know, I'm sharing that with y'all because I want y'all to know that, again, recently, about a year or so ago, I shared with my wife all of that. But I thought that I had shared it to her back then, but she was like, no, this is new stuff to me. And so it was almost as if like a new wound had been opened based off of the fact that I'm sharing something. And I thought that I shared it, but she was like, nah, you ain't never told me that. So that was painful for her. So yeah. So I own up to my past and that type of stuff. So I got my stuff.
So you own up to your past. Lord Jesus, Mary, Joseph. Oh, I'm spitting. What the hell? Oh, you own up to your past, and even as he was talking about that thing, my initial response a lot of time is just anger. You know what I mean? But the reality is that it gifted me. That gifted me. And so when you think about what it is that you have in the darkness of your mind that you have not shared and you haven't owned up to it, maybe it's something your partner already knows, but you haven't just take ownership. Just take ownership. When you don't do that, you hold up the vulnerability and the closeness that you can have in your relationship. We spent a long time on this one, so we need to keep it moving.
Yeah, it was based off your prompting. You prompted me, and I had to like.
Black man, I really appreciate you for that.
Oh, thank you.
I do. All right, so the first one was to communicate your fears. The second one was to own up to your past. And the third one is open up. Open up, especially when you feel like shutting up. Well. Open up. Especially when you feel like shutting up. Yes, don't go into stereotypes.
I'm just saying.
And like this applies to women because women are already running their mouths. It's not that type of thing. Because everybody at some level and at some point we feel we go to a place of wanting to close down. See, I can close down and still be talking. I can shut down and still be running my mouth. I'm not in a place of vulnerability. I'm in a place of ego. I just want to be right. I just want to get out of the situation. I'm still talking. I'm rapping. I'm running my mouth, but I am not open. And so this is not about talking, bumping your gums. This is about staying open to the process, staying in it. I tell my clients all the time, folks that I work with individually, I say, look, sit in it. They're like, I don't know what to do with that. I'm like, sit in it. Sit in the feelings. Sit in it. So what we're telling you is that one way that you can be vulnerable with your partner is that you allow yourself to sit in the uncomfortable feelings. Carry it with you to work. You out at the grocery store. You come back home. He's still looking funny. You're looking funny. Sit in it. And then once you have allowed those feelings to stew and to sit with you, go ahead and open up. Share what you're feeling. You don't want to. You're just like, well, he ain't talking. I ain't talking. You gonna be like that? No. Go and initiate a conversation. Write down what you're feeling. Stay open. Open up. And the key thing is this, especially when you feel like shutting up. Especially. That's when you really need to open up.
I want to address T. Walker over here.
Okay.
She says that open up and he'll use what you say against you. It happens every time. I mean, I don't know if that's said tongue in cheek, but some people's relationships, really are like that. But again, the pathway to experiencing your quote unquote happily ever after is in opening up. And so, if he's throwing it up in your face and using it against you, then, really what that requires is some additional skills to be able to negotiate and engage in conversation so that he's not doing that. But just because he's doing that, it doesn't mean that there's not an opportunity for you to grow in that experience. And so it also doesn't mean that it's not an opportunity for him to grow in that experience as well. And so I would encourage you to continue to do it. And I would encourage you also to look for help, to get some support, to get some additional skills around how to engage in communication and conversations effectively and just resolve conflict, because the best thing to do is to continue to engage. It's not to just shut down and stonewall. That only leads to resentment in a relationship, and it also leads to eventually the death of your relationship.
So I like Tiffany, you being vulnerable tonight, Tiffany Walker. She says, that's so hard for me. I can be very unattached. Girl, I know all about that thing, honey. I know all about it. And I like also what Fine 29 said. I get so heated, sometimes I will clam up. So I want to say a couple of things. The first thing is that sometimes we need to time out, and we just need to understand that as adults, sometimes we need a time out. We need to tap out for a second. Okay, so that's all right. Tap out. I'm just going to come to a place where I can kind of get with myself so that I can maintain. Otherwise, it's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be pretty, right? So it's better for me to just take care of myself, and that's okay. At the same time, at the end of the day, you have to make sure that you push yourself beyond your go-to and beyond your automatic kind of thing that you do, which is climbing up or kind of getting, real comfortable inside your little cocoon. Because, if you don't push yourself, if you don't do something different, guys, you're not going to be connected. You're not going to be connected. And this is about vulnerability. This is about relationships that stand the test of time, that are successful. It's because they stay connected, and they do not do it on accident. They do it because, they stay connected because they are intentional about being
that intentionality is so important. Like, you really have to develop a different set of skills. My wife, she mentioned a moment ago that you're going to go to your go-to. You really are. And that's the truth of the matter. And when we speak about your go-to, everybody's got a go-to when they're feeling pressed. Everybody's got a go-to when they're feeling stressed. If there's any athletes out there who play basketball, most of the time, depending upon what your strong hand is, when you were growing up, that's the only hand that you dribble with, unless you were forced to impress to do something different, unless you had a teacher guiding you through a process and encouraging you to use the other hand. When I was younger, when I was playing basketball, I would love to go right. I would only go right. Even if you tried to guide me to the left-hand side of the court, I would still want to go to my right because that's what I was comfortable with. And so when it comes to you being in a relationship, whenever you feel pressed and whenever you feel stressed, what you're going to do is you're going to lean to your go-to, your default, because that's what's most comfortable for you. But again, when I was younger, what my father did was he took me aside and he said, you got to learn how to shoot a left-hand layup. You got to learn how to dribble with your left hand. You got to learn how to go between your legs and go behind the back, et cetera, et cetera. You got to learn how to do that stuff. So I developed a different set of skills that equipped me to be able to deal with defenses or stresses or pressures that I was confronted with that forced me to go left. And so it no longer became an issue. And so in your relationship, if you think about when you're pressed, when you're feeling stressed, what additional skills have you developed that help you to deal with those situations so that you're not always stonewalling, so that you're not always cussing him out, so that you're not always throwing things, so that you're not always throwing blows, so that you're not always sleeping in the basement, leaving out the house, kicking the cat, fussing at the dog, et cetera, et cetera. What skills have you developed that have helped you and that will help you whenever you're feeling a stressful situation?
Oh my, you're not always going to that place of comfort. And again, we don't want to own up to our past. We don't want to open up, especially when we feel like shutting down, right? Because ultimately, at the end of the day, we don't want to be rejected. We don't want to be rejected. We don't want somebody to judge us. But I'll tell you what somebody named Emma Stone said. I got this quote up on my screen right here. Emma Stone says, "What sets you apart? What sets you apart can sometimes feel like a burden, and it's not. A lot of the time, it's what makes you great. So whatever it is you're carrying that sets you apart and makes you feel as though in some way, you're off to the side, you're different, that your partner's not going to understand, they're not going to, feel you, they're going to judge you, whatever. It's not a burden. It is what makes you great. And you got to take the risk to go there so that your relationship can be great too. So the last
hold on.
thing.
It's not too late to share, y'all. So I see a question here. How long is too long of a time to take a break? The sister, she says, I hate the silent treatment. I want to talk about it. And so in the whole, situation that I have for men out here loving her, how to win your woman and win your wife, I talk about how men can get out the doghouse and really comfort and have effective and productive conversations with their women. So fellas, y'all need to check that out.
Center for relationship enlightenment.com.
Yeah. And so to that point, when we're coaching couples, one of the things that we've recommended is that if you have to take a time out, a 10-minute time out is cool. But do not make the time out any more than 24 hours. And I'll be honest, as a guy, like if it's going past 24, I'm not thinking about it the next day. I'm really not, unless your face is telling me I need to think about it.
I'm like, and that's why as women,
I'm not really
we like, that's how we can go to that place of trying to still be mad and trying to let you know, like,
unless
just because I'm cooking this dinner don't mean that I forgot about the daggone conversation.
Unless you clapping them pots and pans and your face is telling me a story that other than what I think it is, then I'm not really thinking about it. And so again, try not to.
I'm sorry. Why are you not thinking about it?
I'm not.
Why do y'all just like
much time
it's heavy? It's heavy on us. It's heavy.
Do you know how much has happened in that 24-hour time?
But do you understand that as we go throughout our day, and we take the kids where they gotta go, and we are, doing our jobs and going
so we doing all places, that too.
Right? It's with us. It's with us, and we wondering what the hell is he? Am I right? And then we come back home, and I'm not. We are cool. Mm-hmm. And then you come over like, hey boo, and you want to touch my butt? Excuse me, we're not cool. So I don't understand how. Lord help them. I don't understand how it is that y'all just lose it so quickly. You're just like done with it. Like I'm over the issue. I don't even remember.
A lot of times.
How do you not remember? You forgot it.
So do you want the honest answer?
I want the honest. I do want the 100% bona fide, transparent, honest answer.
So you might not like it.
All right.
All right. So the reason why we're over it so quickly is because sometimes we think that the stuff that y'all come at us with is petty. Sometimes we think that the stuff that y'all come at us with is dumb as shit. Sometimes we think that the stuff that y'all come at us with is really not worth our time in that moment.
Oh, really?
Not in that moment, no. So we'll push it to the back burner and we'll get to it at another time. And so that's the reason why I'm saying that. Again, 10 minutes is cool. 10-minute timeout. Revisit the conversation. But no more than 24 hours, because after that 24-hour mark,
he ain't thinking about it no more.
He's probably not thinking about it unless you clapping them pots and pans in his ear, unless you walking around mean mugging, unless you ain't giving him some sex. Then he gonna feel like, damn, something is wrong. What's wrong? And he might ask you the question like, what's wrong, babe?
What? And we've had those conversations, haven't we?
Are you good?
And you're like, and then you'll say, am I something I'm supposed to be like? And that's the worst. Let me just tell the brothers, right? That's the worst thing you can say. There's something I'm supposed to be doing. It's some. I'm like, what the hell? Mm-hmm. Yes, it's something you're supposed to be coming back to me on. Yes, it's something we have not resolved. And I don't remember. But then how about this, y'all? To the brother's point, sometimes I'm like, we'll be in a conversation. I'm like, you don't remember? He's like, oh, boo. I'm like, what is it? I don't, but I just had a lot on my plate today. What's up, boo? And I'm like, you don't remember? But y'all, I don't remember either. I don't remember it. I'm like, wait a minute. I remember in general, but I don't remember specifically what the issue. How did this start in the first place? And I had to ask myself, maybe it's not as big a deal as I thought it was. But I'm not telling him. All right. So this is the last one, y'all. We said it was 5 things that you were going to do tonight. 5 things we were going to give them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that you can step into vulnerability. Okay. I'm going to be honest. We've talked about 4. No, 1, 2, 3. We talked about 3, and this is number 4. We ain't got number 5. I thought I said 5, but that was wrong. I don't know what number 5 is. Okay. I just don't know what number 5 is. So we're going to keep it at 4, and it's 10:06. Don't people got to go to work tomorrow? Any things we got to do? So I'm going to go to number 4. The 4th one, hold up. Did I just do the 4th one? You on the 4th one. So it's 4. It's not 5, it's 4. Hey. Number 4, the 4th thing you can do to make sure that you are being vulnerable is
to share your goals and your passions, y'all. Mm-hmm. To share your goals, your passions, your dreams, your ambitions, your deep-seated desires, the things that you want to accomplish, the things that you not only want to accomplish for yourself, but the vision that you have for yourself as well as your family. It's so important, y'all. It's really important because, again, it's you taking a risk to step outside of your comfort zone, and you're pretty much sharing your nakedness, your bare soul with your partner and letting them know that this is something that I dream of.
Oh, we do have 5. Sorry.
Really, Joe? This is something that you're dreaming of. This is something that's really important to you. And so the reason why we say that it's extremely important is because you're taking a risk and they could possibly reject that. How many of y'all out here have goals, dreams that you really keep bottled up and you don't share with your spouse? Because you're afraid that when you share with your spouse, they're going to cut that thing down. They're going to chop it down. They're going to tell you every other reason why it's not going to work.
Or they just might not be that interested. They may not come at you.
Yeah, they might not high-five you and pat you on the back and salute you and all of that type of stuff. Anybody out there had that experience where they don't feel like they're supported, they don't feel like their spouse is their cheerleader, that their spouse can really vibe and get with them with their dreams and their goals? Is anybody courageous enough to share?
Right. And the thing is this, y'all. So why does that increase vulnerability, and why does that increase closeness and connection? Because when Ayize shares with me some of the things that he wants to do, he recently shared with me a few days ago something that he's thinking about.
Yeah, I'm thinking about getting a PhD, yo.
Say it again, boo.
thinking about getting a PhD.
Yes. And it makes me feel special. That's what I want to say. It makes you feel special that this person is sharing with you the things that are important to them. You know, and so don't you want that? You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, for real? Like that's, you know, and so when he told me that, I'm like, oh, boo. And a lot of times, look, I don't know if I should say this. I just had one glass of wine, but that 13 points. Anybody get wine like me? What's up, Camilla Way? Anybody get wine and you look at the back of the bottle? Sometimes I just gotta go off point a little bit.
Yeah, you really got going off.
You know, you can look at the back of the bottle and you see like what's the percentage. That's how you pick your wine. Anybody? I mean, can one person tell me like if you're like 9.5%, what is that? 8%, what is that? I need 12.5, 13%. Oh Lord, yeah, I know I'm gonna get in trouble. But anybody like me, so I just had one glass, but it was 13.5%. It's 13.5%. So I don't know if I'm supposed to share this, but I'm not naming names. But remember, there was a couple we were counseling, and the brother didn't. He got his PhD, and the wife found out when he was done. Do you remember that? Found out when he was done, and the reality is, you know, he was able to go through an entire program. I want a strong Annalicia. That's right. He was able to go through an entire program and she didn't know. How did that make her feel? How did that make that person feel? You understand? Like at the end of that, like, so you had desires, you had a vision, you had a, you know what I'm saying, something that you wanted to go and better yourself. And I didn't know anything about it. And I found out when you got when you got the daggone thing. My graduation is like a few, and we were listening there like, wow, you know, it speaks to so much in terms of the level of disconnect, right? Kiana said, but how did she miss it though? You know what I'm saying? How did she miss it? But you know, I don't, you know, online programs, whatever. I mean, you have to be really intentional to keep something like that secret. But at the end of the day, y'all, when you don't share your passion and your goals and the things that you want, and you keep it to yourself because maybe you know, you don't want to really, you know, don't put yourself out there like that. I just want to keep it to myself because it just feels what did we say vulnerability was? It feels uncertain. I feel emotionally exposed, right? And it feels like taking a risk, right? Stephanie Maxwell, how about you just keep it all the way real? She said, that's crazy. That's just crazy. Right. So it feels like that. But yes, when you told me, you know, you were thinking about like, I'm marinating on this thing about getting a doctorate. It's like, I feel special. Like, oh, for real, boy, talk to me about that. You know?
Yeah, you did. And I appreciate that.
I appreciate you.
You know, my wife, she's been, you know, a constant supporter. She pushed me and encouraged me and held me accountable and provided support when I got my master's and pushed me and held me accountable and encouraged me when I got my license.
I just was, you know, like, hey, don't forget.
Yeah. But I mean, I really appreciate that. And so, you know, if I did not have you, I could not imagine like keeping something like that in secret. It's too big of a deal. And so we're so connected that, you know, every step of the way, I'm going to make sure that you're there with me. I don't want no lipstick.
Sorry, boo. All right, this number 5, y'all. It's 10:12. It's 10:12. We gotta get up off this thing. All right, so look, number 5, y'all. Number 1 was what was number 1?
Number 1 was communicate your fears.
Communicate your fears. Number 2 was own up to your past. Right. Number 3 was open up, especially when you feel like shutting up. Number 4 was share your goals and your passions, which is another way of saying share your heart. Share your heart. Okay. And nigga said it's a huge deal and you can do it. My brother.
Thank you, sir.
Share your goals and passions. And then number 5 is cry when you feel like it. I don't know why I wanted to sing that point, but cry when you feel like it. Cry when you feel like it. Everybody's not a crier. I'm a crier. I be crying. I'm a cry baby. You understand? Like I cry at the drop of a dime. I don't even know you. I heard something about you and I'm like, oh Lord, that just hit my heart. And my husband like, oh, okay, babe. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm emotional like that. So cry. Crying is food for the soul. Crying is food for the soul. I was feeling so grateful earlier today. You don't even know this. I was doing my hair, brushing my hair in the mirror. You were already gone. I just started crying. I was crying this morning in the mirror because I just felt so grateful for the opportunities and for the things that are opening up in my life and our life and the life of our family. And I was also really nervous and scared because I'm like, oh, I'm like this, y'all. I don't want to be seen. And I just let it out. Like all the nervousness, the anxiety, and the gratitude. So cry when you feel like it. For everybody, it doesn't look like tears. For some people, it looks different. For lots of people, it looks different. Everybody not walking around crying. Pamela Henderson, I see you, right? Everybody not doing that. Sometimes people are crying through really, really quiet times and pulling in and being to themselves, you know, and just kind of going into a place of real solitude. That's your crying. You know what I'm saying? Do that. You know what I'm saying? Do that. You know, there are people who, you know, do it in art forms, through writing songs, through writing poetry. Cry. Let it out. Cry, let it out. And share it with your partner. Do it when you feel like it. Has anybody ever cried and just let the tears come out, or just been vulnerable? Let somebody look at you and you be, no, what do we do when we cry? Most of the time, unless we're in a place where everybody's crying or multiple people are crying, like a funeral, for example, right? You know, so everybody kind of understands, you know, we try to, what are we trying to do? We try to wipe it away.
Yeah.
You know, I did that pull it together. You had some tears? Wait a minute. Okay. Y'all just going to have be with our moment for a second. So I was crying this morning. You was crying?
I don't know about what time it is.
Before I had to go to the office for counseling. So I guess like around about the 8 o'clock hour.
So I wasn't
9 o'clock hour.
Per se. It was
don't try to minimize it now.
No, I mean I had some tears and it
was
Where were you? I was in the car. And so to give y'all some context,
I'm like,
I always got to package this thing.
Yeah, you are. Let me minimize it.
But I was listening to the radio this morning. And for those of y'all who were in the DMV, I don't know if I was listening to 93.9 or 95.5, but I was listening to Big G, Genghis from the Backyard Band.
You shared this with me. That made you have tears.
It really did. It really did. But what he was sharing was that, you know, he's in the process of one of his band members or somebody that's affiliated with them.
People who are not from the DMV don't know nothing about Big G, bro.
Yeah. So somebody who's Go-Go. He's the MC for this Go-Go band called Backyard Band. But he was on the radio and he also hosts the show or hosts on the radio station. I think it's 93 or 95.5. But in any event, so he was sharing how one of his good peoples was encouraging him, like, you know, I'm gonna take y'all to Africa. Y'all need to come to Africa, et cetera, et cetera. And so he said, you know, finally, it's come to a point where the guy who's been saying for all of these years that I'm gonna take y'all to Africa, he's actually gonna do it. So they're gonna be going to Africa. And so the thing that made me tear up while I was driving in the car this morning was the fact that what they're gonna be doing, y'all, is, again, Backyard Band is a go-go band. But they're going to be playing go-go in a slave castle.
Oh my goodness!
In a slave castle, and so in Ghana, yeah. And so, to me, the image in and of itself, it's like a full circle moment. If anybody out there is familiar with go-go, to be able to hear the djembe, the rollatons, the congos, and the ancestral DNA that exists in us as people of African descent in this country here. To be able to go back to the continent, to play in a slave dungeon,
my God,
and to be able to hear the echoes off the walls, and you know, right before we was brought over here, and ripped from our homeland, brought over here to this country,
my goodness,
into this continent is absolutely phenomenal, y'all. So I was tearing up because it's a full circle moment. It's a full circle moment, and so
if you're not from the DMV, you might be like, "What are you talking about?" But if you're from the DMV, can you get some hearts right now? Because y'all know what we're talking about. You know about go-go, and you know about that connection between our ancestors and our history as people of African descent. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So that was powerful. So just that full circle moment, it moved me. And it brought some tears to mind.
Yes. There's some people out there, they're like, yes, DMV. Y'all know about it. You know about it. And then people, like, y'all can, what was that website? You can go with them. You told me this morning. You don't know. But you can go with them. You can go with them so when they playing with backyards to go play in Africa. So the fifth one again was to cry when you feel like it. This has been an amazing evening as usual. Y'all's comments are so good. Stephanie said, "I do know about go-go." All right, Stephanie, we see you, sis. And so I just want to say to you all this evening, I'm so happy to see you, Camilla Way, on the live stream this evening, sis. I gotta talk to you. Call me. So I just want to say to you all this evening that vulnerability, it is the lifeline of your relationship. If there is no vulnerability, which means uncertainty, risk, and emotional exposure. Uncertainty, risk, and emotional exposure. Let's just say that a few times. Uncertainty. Think about your boo. Uncertainty, risk, emotional exposure. Putting myself out there. My goodness. We don't want to do that. If there's none of that going on in your relationship, you are at risk. So understand that vulnerability is the lifeline. You got to do it. You got to go there. You got to be willing to do it with yourself so that you can do it with your partner. And so we chose this topic tonight because we want you to understand that people who are successful in relationships are willing to be uncomfortable. They're willing to say things that don't make them look good. Yep. Lord have mercy. They are willing to go to places where they feel really bad. When it's so, I done had a conversation with my boo and I feel bad. I don't feel good. It's all right. It's a part of the process of being in a relationship. That's what vulnerability is. What is it? Uncertainty. Uncertainty, risk, and emotional exposure. To be exposed means you open. That was the question we posed before you all tonight. Are you wide open? And if you're not wide open, you need to get wide open. And you will not get wide open because you look at a live stream. You will not get wide open because you like feel that and that sounds good. You will not get wide open because you read a book. You will get wide open because you do one of these things that we talked about tonight. Because you own up to your past, because you open up, especially when you feel like shutting down, because you communicate your fears, because you share your goals and your passions and talk from your heart, because you cry when you feel like it. That's what's going to take you to the next level. That's the kind of person we should all be striving to be. Just be real. Just like I just want to be real, and I want to love myself, accept myself, be okay, and then give it to my partner. And they may give you the response that you're looking for, and they may not. But it doesn't matter, because everything that you do that builds yourself, build your relationship in some shape, form, or fashion. It doesn't always give you the response you're looking for. And that's why we got to be willing to give, seeking nothing in return. Yeah. Oh. Boo. We got to be willing to give, seeking nothing in return. And I'm telling you, I am a needy person. I'm emotionally needy. I want what I want. I want something in return. But I also know better. I know that sometimes I got to give, and I ain't going to get nothing from Ayize because he's too self-absorbed. Because I got more insight in the area than him.
Sometimes.
Let me just go ahead. Because he just don't get it.
Yeah, sometimes.
Right? And he knows that sometimes I'm too self-absorbed.
Oh.
Because he has more insight than I do.
Always.
Right? And so we got to be willing to give, seeking nothing in return. Vulnerability. That's the key to strong, solid, rock solid relationships. You cannot give your partner what you do not have. Think on these 5 things tonight. What is it that stands out to you as the most nasty thing you heard? I just use the word nasty just because it's just, you're like, ugh. Like you just say, ugh. You know, when you see something nasty, like, ew.
But then you smell it anyway.
Ew, smell that. Right? Ew. And whatever is the nastiest thing you heard tonight, that's what you need to marinate and meditate on. How can I increase that? How can I do that? Because whatever it is you need to do, usually is what's most unattractive to you, you know, or is most repulsive to you. That's usually how it works. So y'all, this has been good. Child, Camilla Way is on here. She is a master therapist, and
not just Camilla, but I know Nika is on here too.
Yes, we have so many really amazing therapists in the room tonight, and so I just thank y'all for coming on.
And if you got some value, please share this video, y'all.
It's not
too
late.
It's not too late to share. Put them in your timeline and your feed. Other people would definitely benefit as well. And again, I'm gonna go ahead and shout out Center for Relationship Enlightenment.com. So my course is up there right now, and it's called Loving Her: How to Win Your Woman and Woo Your Wife. The link is on YouTube. The link is also on Facebook. But we're gonna be bringing some additional courses there as well. Not just for loving women, but also for loving your husband, et cetera, et cetera. And so, again, we encourage you all to tune in to us next Thursday. We've enjoyed you all immensely. Somebody had a question over here. I'm going to try to find it.
Good night, Mitzi.
You said Mitzi?
Mitzi.
Let me see.
YouTube, y'all coming through with these questions, ain't y'all?
So
that's right, Natasha. Keeping secrets in a relationship is not good. So Junko Tamaya, some of y'all's names, they be real interesting. Junko Tamaya. What? That's
I'm calling you out.
You calling me out? I just thought that was a name. So I'm sorry. Let me just apologize. You lynch me.
I'm just saying.
So this is what we do with each other. We about to go somewhere else. Sometimes we'd be like, "What is that?" And we say like Willie Lynch. We call each other out like, "You know what? You're." Some of y'all know what we're talking about. We can't go there. It's just too much. But I don't mean anything by that. So okay, sorry. So let me just move on. I feel like I am a bad girlfriend, and I don't know if I'm saying your name correctly, sis. So let me know. I feel like I'm a bad girlfriend. I hate sex. Well, I get severe headaches every time I have sex. I'm never in the mood. My boyfriend is a great guy, and I feel so guilty. Girl, you done come all up in here. You on the wrong topic. I don't even know where to go with that.
You can ask a question. So
yes, you can. You absolutely can ask a question. I'm just saying we ain't on that topic. Don't take it personally. I just keep it 100. But I'm going to answer your question. So, look, honey, if you have headaches when you're having sex, then the first thing you want to do is you want to rule out any medical issues. So the first thing that you always want to do is you want to make sure that you go to the doctor and find out, is this physiological, right? Is there something happening physically, or is this psychological? Once you can have that physical stuff ruled out, then you can start to look and see like what's happening with me emotionally, what's happening with me mentally that kicks up these headaches, right? What's happening with me spiritually, right? That's putting this this kind of this headache stuff going on in the middle of sex. So when I think sex is on the horizon. So that's the first thing I would tell you is to go to the doctor and find out what's going on. I don't know if you have any history of trauma, if you have any other kinds of issues going on from your past, but hit us up. Hit us up. You can always email us at info, INFO, at the letter B, intentional.com.
Yeah.
All right, guys, y'all, it's what time? 10:27. We done talked a whole lot tonight. So we are done this evening. Our YouTube, you can find us on YouTube. Well, I won't really know for real.
I mean, it's relationship advice with Ayize and Aiyana.
Yeah, you can look at our names, but I know it'll be hard to spell it. Relationship advice with Ayize and Aiyana. That's long as I don't know what. You find us like that on YouTube, Camilla. Relationship advice with Ayize and Aiyana. You can also find us. It's Be Intentional though. It's the letter B, intentional. Try youtube.com/the letter B, intentional. All right, Camilla. She said she got it. Is that a wrap on your head? Yes, that's a wrap on my head, child. You see it? Y'all got some interesting questions. Who asked me that question? Michelle. Yes, it's a wrap. And anybody, if y'all got some tips on wraps, anybody wrap their hair with a hair wrap and do it the first time? Am I the only person that wraps their head with a hair wrap and I get it on the 5th time? Like consistently. I'm like, oh no, that's not right.
That's the reason why we was late, y'all. It's
no.
It's the head wrap. I'm blaming on the head wrap.
Because I sat down here and I said, you kept saying, hurry up, but we sit down and you ain't ready. All right. So, guys, this has been good. This has been real. Vulnerability is what you need for your relationship. We keep it real with each other. It doesn't mean that I like it. It doesn't mean that I'm a fan of it. I don't like to be vulnerable. It's not the thing that I enjoy. I do not like it. Be clear. I don't like it. So it's not something that you have to want to do. It's not something that you have to, wait for some kind of inclination to do. You just have to make yourself do it. We've given you 5 ways to do it on this evening so that you can get to another level of intimacy and closeness in your relationship. As we said earlier this evening, when you get to this place where you have closeness and you have intimacy and you have vulnerability, that means you will automatically have uncertainty, right? Uncertainty, risk, yes, and discomfort. Yes, that's going to be there. And when you have that, that means that you have stability. You have stability. Because if it's all surface and if it's all kosher and it's all good all the time, it's not a real relationship. I'm just telling you the truth. See you next Thursday. This has been good. Remember, y'all, you have to stop playing and
start pushing, y'all.
Stop pushing. Bye.
Share the video.